विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रष्टाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रष्टाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात्य देशतारिणे ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगगन रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगगन ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पदे गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ईश्वरा परम कृष्णा सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविंदा सर्व कारण कारणम। Hare Krishna. By the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, we are nicely studying Bhagavad Gita every day. And we finished 27 slokas in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Viswarupa, the universal form. So in this chapter, we are understanding about Krishna's unmanifested universal form, that is Viswarupa. Arjuna calls Krishna as Viswarupa, Visveswara. You show me your Viswarupa. So I could see many eyes, mouths, bellies, arms, everything in your Viswarupa. Many, Bahu, Bahudaram, Bahu. So everything Bahu. The word Bahu is used many times by Arjuna in these slokas in the Viswarupa. So that means really unlimited, countless, because I'm not, it's your all directions. It's pervading in all directions. I'm not able to see the beginning, middle, or end of your Viswarupa. That is the main thing Arjuna is saying here. It is Anadi Madhyantam Ananta Viryam. Anadi Madhyantam. Anadi Madhya Antam. There is no beginning, middle, or end. So Anadi Madhyantam Ananta Viryam Ananta Bhagu Sasisurya Netram. So Pasyamitvam. So I am seeing everything. Everything is unlimited. So everything is unlimited. So that way, in Krishna's Viswarupa, Arjuna was able to see all those things, and we are able to understand from this Bhagavad Gita about Krishna's Viswarupa. We can't get this knowledge from anywhere else. Only in Bhagavad Gita. Only in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is teaching us this knowledge about the Viswarupa very clearly, because Arjuna is asking. So Krishna is showing his Viswarupa, and Arjuna is teaching us, because Arjuna is actually explaining what he sees in Krishna's universal form. So that way, we are able to understand Krishna's universal form very well. But one thing we need to understand, that Krishna, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we cannot limit him in one way or other. We cannot say that Krishna is only a person, God is only a person, or God is an imperson, he has no form. So we cannot limit God. When we ourselves have form, so we are getting this body in this material world, so we cannot limit God. So he is both having form, and also he is also impersonal, means unmanifested. So you are not able to see. In this material world, we are able to see only things which basically, when the light falls on it, when it reflects the light, so then only it gets into our eyes, then it goes to the photoreceptors, it goes through the pupils and then photoreceptors, and then it goes to our brain. So then only we are able to see things in this way. So that way, Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so he is always there. Even if he is there in front of us, we are not able to see Krishna. We cannot see Krishna. Even we cannot see our soul, because soul is also completely spiritual. So soul is beyond matter. So that's why there is no way if we want a proof that I want to see the soul, then only I can believe the soul. So that means we are never going to believe it, because we are never going to see the soul or feel the soul with our material senses. The soul is actually feeling everything using the material senses, the material sense objects, but we ourselves cannot feel or see the soul or touch the soul or taste the soul. So with our senses we cannot actually perceive the soul, but we can understand. So from Bhagavad Gita, from the knowledge, we can understand. For example, in atom, like the electrons, how they are there on different orbital levels. If you study chemistry, all such things. So they are all, because no one has seen the orbitals in which electrons are orbiting. So, but we are able to understand. We are able to study and understand. So similarly, here in this Bhagavad Gita, we should understand Krishna is teaching us that the soul pervades this entire body. So we just have to understand. And Krishna is teaching us that the soul doesn't mix with the body, so that we need to understand. So this is your knowledge. So Krishna is saying that yatha sarvagatam saukshmat akasham nopalipyate. Krishna is giving excellent example for us to understand. It's not very difficult. It's really very easy, because Krishna is making it very, very simple, very easy for us to understand. That Krishna is giving the analogy, example, that the sky which is pervading everywhere, no one, are we able to see the sky? The sky is there everywhere. But what is the form of the sky? What is the color of the sky? So we don't know. Space. Basically, sky means space. That's what we need to understand. Space. So the space, that is the sky, the space, akasha, which is there everywhere, it doesn't mix with anything. It doesn't mix with anything. So similarly, the soul is inside everywhere in our body, and it doesn't mix with the body. That's what we need to understand. Yatakaso sito nityam. So yata sarvagatam saukshmyat akasam nopalipyate. Sarvatra avasthita dehe tatatma nopalipyate. Krishna is saying that sarvatra avasthita dehe. So it's there inside this entire body, and then it is actually nopalipyate. So it is not bound. It is not bound to the body. So that's what Krishna is teaching us. So in the second chapter, in the sloka number 11 to 30, Krishna is very, very clearly teaching us that we are not the body, we are the soul. So that way we need to understand that the soul is there inside this body. It doesn't mix with the body. And the same thing Krishna is saying, teaching us in the 30th sloka in the second chapter. Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvatra bharata. Dehe sarvasya bharata. So that's what Dehe Sarvasya Bharata. So we understand from Bhagavad Gita that the soul is inside this entire body. That's what Dehe Sarvasya. Dehe Sarvasya means inside this entire body, the soul is there. So Dehi Nityam Avadyoyam. So the Dehi means the soul. The Dehi means the one which has got Deha. So that means the soul which has got the body. So that's what is known as Dehi. Dehi Nityam. Nityam means it is always there. Avadyoya means it is indestructible. It cannot be killed. So Dehi Nityam Avadyoyam Dehe Sarvasya Bharata. The Dehe Sarvasya. So this Dehi, this soul is pervading this entire body. Dehe Sarvasya Bharata. Tasmat Sarvani Bhutani Natvam Sochitam Argasi. Therefore, for all living entities, you don't have to worry. We don't have to worry about anyone or anything. Because the soul can never be killed. Only the body can be destroyed. Only the body can be killed. The body can be cut into pieces by weapons. The body can be burned by fire. The body can be wet by water, and the body can be dried by the wind. So, but this Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, earth, water, fire, air, they cannot do anything to the soul. Why? Because our body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, and space. Panjabhuta. That is our grass body. So that is our Panjabhuta, grass body. That is Stula Sariram. So our Stula Sariram is made up of these grass elements. So earth is the grassest element. So Krishna, even when he listed all this Panjabhuta, he is listing in order. So Bhumir, Apo. Apo is next grassest is fire. So water. Apo is water. So earth. So earth has got a definite shape. Earth occupies the space. Everything definite. So even we define in chemistry the solids, liquids, and gases. That's how we define. So the solid, we know that it has got a definite shape, definite volume, all such things. So definite shape and volume. And next, liquid. So there is the water. Bhumi, Apo. So the water, it takes the volume of the container. So it doesn't have its own shape. So it takes the shape of the container. So that's what is the water. And then gas. So that is Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu. Analo is the heat, basically heat. So then Vayu. So Vayu is the gas which fills the container. It takes the shape of the container, means it just fills the entire container. So that way, we need to understand that Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, earth, water, fire, air, and then of course, they exist in the space. So that's what come. So this earth, water, fire, air, and space. So all these four elements, they are there in the space. So that way, our soul, which is not a part of this body. So the soul is subtle. And we also have subtle body. So that is Sukshma Sharira. So Sukshma Sharira is mind, intelligence, ahankara. Mind, intelligence, and ahankara. Even our senses are grass body. Sense objects are grass body. So our senses, which are made up of matter. Our eyes, we have lens in our eyes. So that is made up of a matter. And we have ears. In our ears also there are tympanic membrane, and then the bones are there, ossicles, they are known as bones, and then they goes to the inner ear. So through the inner ear also it goes, there is cochlea. So it all goes to the brain, nerves. Everything is made up of matter. Our sense of hearing, sense of touching, sense of smelling, and all these senses, they are made up of these grass elements. And our the sense objects which we enjoy. For example, the palatable food, very delicious food, what we are enjoying. So that is also made up of matter. Or things we see, we enjoy, or things we smell, we taste, all such things we touch, and everything is made up of these grass elements. So this earth, water, fire, air, and then space, this is they are known as Panjabhutam, also known as Mahabhutam. So they are all made up of these grass elements. So our body, which is grass body. So, and then the mind, intelligence, and ahankara, that is actually a subtle body. So that is known as Sukshma Sharira. So Sukshma Sharira, it's a subtle body. So that also you cannot see. So that way, the soul is the subtlest. The soul is above all. That's what in the third chapter we studied that Indriyani Paranyahu Indriyebhya Parammanaga Manasastu Parabuddhi Yobuddhe Paratastu Saha. So senses are superior to dull matter. Indriyani Paranyahu. Indriyebhya Param Manaka. So then mind is above the senses. Indriyani Paranyahu. Indriyebhya Param Manaka. Manasastu Parabuddhi. Intelligence is above the mind. And the soul is above the intelligence. So the soul is above all. So that's what we are studying and understanding in Bhagavad Gita. That we are not the body. We are the soul. So Atma. So we need to realize this fact. We need to understand and then act with this knowledge. That's what is very important. In our daily life, in all our activities, we should do everything only with this knowledge. That's what is very important. With the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. That means we are not the body, we are the soul. So that knowledge we should have. If you don't have that knowledge, so if you don't realize, if you don't understand that we are the soul, if you think that we are the body, and if you do everything in bodily consciousness, so that means we are actually binding ourselves in this material world more and more. So that means we will keep on getting material bodies in this material world, especially in this human life. If we waste this opportunity, if we don't get this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, we are simply wasting our precious time. Actually, it's very very rare gift which Krishna has given us. We need to fully make use of it. We need to completely utilize it. So that's what is very very important. We are very fortunate. We got this opportunity and we are progressing. We are understanding this Bhagavad Gita every day. And more, if we study again and again, if we study this Bhagavad Gita, if we understand the complete knowledge, then we can practice in our life. We can make our life very simple and very easy. And all the things starts with our controlling our sleeping, controlling our eating. We should know how much we are eating, what time we are eating, and how much time we are sleeping. All those things are very important because sleep plays a major role in our life, especially our body. In order to be fresh, it needs rest. All the organs in our body, they need rest. So that's why we should eat hours before we go to bed. So we should not just eat and then immediately go to bed, because our stomach, everything, our body, everything needs rest. So that way, this Bhagavad Gita knowledge is very very important, because Krishna is teaching us what type of food we should eat, and Krishna is very clearly teaching us that we should control our eating and sleeping and everything. So then we should control our mind. So all these things are very very practical and very very important. Why it's needed in our life. That's what Krishna is teaching us. So if we get this knowledge completely, this Bhagavad Gita knowledge, so then we will be able to do all these things in our life. So that way our life will become very, very meaningful one. This is going to be possible only with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, we will realize, we will understand without any doubt that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And all the activities we should do only to please Krishna. Only to please Krishna. That's it. With the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, it is very much possible to do that. It's very much possible. Because when we get this knowledge fully, then when we start loving Krishna, we will actually do everything as an offering unto Krishna only. That's what is very important. So Krishna is teaching us in Bhagavad Gita, you do everything as an offering unto me. Do everything for me. So that way, if our life becomes, the goal of our life is only to please Krishna, only to do everything for the satisfaction of Krishna, so then we will be able to free ourselves from this material bondage. So that's what is going to happen. So now we are understanding in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in the universal form, in the Viswarupa, we are understanding about Krishna's universal form. And now, in the beginning, it started very nicely actually. When Sanjaya, before Arjuna started explaining about Krishna's universal form, Sanjaya was actually, what he was telling that, Anekavatra Nayanam, Anekadbuda Darsanam, Aneka Divyabaranam, Divyanekto Dyadayudam, Divyamalyam Barattaram, Divyagandhanulepanam, Sarvascharyamayam Devam, Anantam Visvato Mukham. That's how Sanjaya understood about Krishna's Viswarupa. But with the special eyes, with the divine eyes, what Arjuna got, Arjuna is now saying different things. So here, Aneka Vatranayanam, Anekatbuda Darsanam. Everything is Adbuda Darsanam. It's a wonderful form. That's what Sanjaya was telling. Anekatbuda Darsanam. Aneka Divya Paranam. Divya Anektodayidam. So with divine garments, with divine Divya Paranam, then Divya Malyam Bharataram, with divine garlands and divine dress, garments and everything. And everything was, Krishna was looking so wonderful. But here Arjuna is explaining that your Viswarupa, your universal form is actually That's what we studied in the 25th shloka. Damstra karalani chathe mukhani dristvaiva kalanala sannibani diso na jane nalabecha sarma prasida devesa jagannivasa. So by seeing your Viswarupa with horrible teeth, with terrible teeth and faces, and dristvaiva kalanala sannibani, so with your mouth full of fire coming out from your mouth, disona jane nalabecha sarma, in all directions I am bewildered. So I am bewildered in all directions. Disona jane nalabecha sarma, prasida devesa jagannivasa, O Devesha, Lord of the Lords, Jagannivasa, refuge of this world, you please show your mercy. So that's what prasida devesa jagannivasa. Then in the sloka number 26 and 27 we studied. Ami chatvam datarashtrasya putraga sarve sahaiva vanipala sangaihi Bhishmo dronaga suta putrastatasau sahasmadiyerapi yoda mukyaihi Vatrani te tvaramana visanti damstra karanani bayanakani kechit vilagna dasanantareshu sandrishyante churnitair uttamangai. So your Vishwarupa is actually Dhritarashtrasya, I see in your Viswarupa the sons of Dhritarashtra and all other kings, Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, Sutaputra, Karna, and even chiefs from our army also. Everyone are rushing into your mouth. I am seeing that Tvaramana Visanti, Vaktranite, in your eye, in your mouths, Vaktranite, Tvaramana Visanti. They are rushing and entering into your mouth. And damstra karalani bayanakani, with horrible, fearful teeth, with damstra karalani bayanakani, with horrible teeth, fearful face. So they are all rushing very fast, very rushing into your mouth. And kechit vilagnam dasanantaresu sandarsyante churnitaigi uttamangaihi. So they are getting attached, they are getting stuck between your teeth and getting grinded, and you are crushing their heads. So Uttamangaihi, that's what Arjuna said. Now in the next sloka number 28, Arjuna is continuing that Yatha nadinam bhagavombu vegaha samudrameva vimukadravanti tatha tavami naralokavira Visanti Vaktrani Abhivijvalanti Yatha Nadinam. Nadi means rivers. So Nadinam. Yatha Nadinam Bhagavo Ambu Vegaha. Ambu Vegaha means with the speed of arrows. When you shoot the arrows. So that's what Ambu. Ambu means the arrows. So Ambu Vega. So means with the speed of arrows. That's what waves of the waters. So Bhagavo Ambu Vegaha. So Ambu is also water. So water, you can put it as water. Ambu Vega. So Ambu is water. So Yatha Nadinam Bhagavombu Vegagam Samudramevabi Mukha Dravanti. Samudram, like when the water gets all the way to the ocean, so at the entrance to the ocean, we see the water is rushing into the ocean. The river, from the river. So Nadi means the river. So the water from the rivers, from all the rivers, so they are entering into the ocean as dwaram. So Evabi Mukha. So that's what is known as, in Tamil it's actually Mukhadwaram. You call it as where the water is entering, Mukhadwaram. So basically it is the same. So Mukha is the entrance. So Dwaram, it's the opening. So basically Evabi Mukha. So Dravanti means they are gliding, they are going very fast. So like that, I see all these kings, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, sons of Dhritarashtra, and all other warriors, everyone, they are rushing into your mouth. That's what Arjuna is comparing here, how they are rushing into his mouth. So, Yatha Nadinam Bhagavombu Vegaga Samudram Evabi Mukha Dravanti Tatha tavami naraloka viraga. So similarly, so like that, naraloka viraga means the soldiers in this world where human beings live. So that's what naraloka viraga. So naraloka vira visanti vatrani abhivijvalanti. Visanti, they are entering so fast. They are entering so fast, like the rivers are going very fast into the ocean. They are merging with the ocean, entering into the ocean. So like that, I see all this. Everyone is entering, rushing into your blazing mouth. That's what abhivijvalanti. So that's what blazing into your blazing mouth. They are all entering, rushing very, very fast into your mouth. That's what Arjuna is seeing. So basically, in this way, everyone is actually dying. Everyone, we are living here in this world only for a very brief period of time. It's only in terms of the decades, that's it. We can count every, like for example 2020, just now we finished, and it was a happy new year. We just celebrated 13 days ago, and one decade is over. Now it's 2021. So 2030 will also come. Then another decade will get over. 2040 will come, 2050 will come, 2060 will come. So those who are at the age of 40, 50 now, when the 2060, 2070 and all come, we won't be here. And those who are younger, they may be there. But still, again, it's only in terms of decades. That's it. We need to count our life in terms of decades. So that means it's only hardly 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 decades. That's what. If we are very fortunate, fortunate means I can't even say whether it's fortunate or unfortunate. We live up to 100 years, if we get all kinds of diseases. So, but even if a person lives up to 90 or 180, 90, 100, so it's only a matter of 8, 9 decades. That's it. So, but many people die even before that also. We don't know. Nothing is certain in this way. But the point here is that the truth, the fact is that our life is, we need to count in terms of the decades, and it goes just like that. It goes just like that. And we have to change our body. So then we'll get into new body. So these things are continuing. These things are continuing. We are keep on changing bodies after bodies, dying, taking another birth, and then getting old, getting diseased, and dying again, and then get another birth, and getting old, getting diseased. I often used to say that if I repeat that some 10 times right now, it may be boring for all of us, especially we are towards finishing our class at this point of time. If I simply say that we die, then take birth, then old age, disease, and death. We die, then take birth, old age, disease, and then again die, then again take birth, then getting old age, disease, then death. So if we say that this is happening in our life, so many times means unlimited number of times, infinite number of times. That's what is happening. We don't know how many times we died in the past. We don't know. We need to bring an end to this misery. This is not at all good for us. We need to bring an end. We don't want to take another birth again and again, take birth in this world and again die. It's not at all good for us. The only way we can bring an end to this misery is just studying this Bhagavad Gita and spreading this message, surrendering unto Krishna, studying this Bhagavad Gita and spreading this message. This is the only way we can bring an end to this misery. So by Krishna's causeless mercy, we have successfully finished the sloka number 28 in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, universal form. Hare Krishna. I will stop now and we'll discuss if any questions are there. Hare Krishna.